In the 18th century, people still travelled on horseback. Seafaring relied on human muscle power and wind. Goods were produced with the use of manual tools in craft workshops. And during wars, men fought hand to hand. Then, thanks to several gentlemen, everything changed. James Watt improved the steam engine created by Thomas Newcomen. George Stephenson designed a modern steam locomotive. Sir Richard Arkwright invented an improved version of the spinning wheel. James Hargreaves created the spinning jenny, and Eli Whitney the cotton gin. All of the inventions designed in that period increased workforce productivity by as much as 200 times. However, the Industrial Revolution really started with the introduction of steam engines. Their use completely transformed production and travel, and as a result also had an impact on the geopolitical, social and demographic landscape of the entire world. As the working class and the industrial middle class emerged and consumer goods became commonly available, the entire society was reshaped. During the following years, the Industrial Revolution thrived. Many new factories were built. Miners dug deeper and deeper. Production output increased. Factory owners amassed their fortunes, and a railway network started to cover the land at a staggering pace. All those changes taking place throughout the subsequent decades resulted in a concentration of production in large plants and in specific industrial regions, such as the Upper Silesian Industrial Region, the Ruhr region, industrial regions in Great Britain, for instance Yorkshire or Newcastle, the Donbass Industrial Region, or the Textile Industrial Regions including Manchester, Leeds, Lille and Łódź, which owes its development to the textile industry. At the turn of the 20th century, almost 93% of the city's workers were employed by the textile industry, which made up 95% of the city's manufacturing output. Detroit and Dortmund are another two examples of cities in which factories were built by the biggest companies, leading to their rapid development and increasing the wealth of their citizens. However, this has changed over the years. Post-war recessions, the end of the centrally planned economy, ongoing automation, the emergence of high-tech industry, including biotechnology, new computer systems and nanotechnology, the increasing importance of the services sector, and even the tax policy have stunted the development of industry and led to the closing of factories and the ongoing decline of large industrial cities. Some of them have been hit especially hard and lost as much as 60% of their populations at the end of the 20th century. Those who decided to stay were left with no job and education opportunities. Crime was flourishing, and the empty avenues became covered by windswept garbage. Abandoned houses descended into ruin. Dilapidated company headquarters and factories scared off anyone who set foot in the city. This is the fate that was met by many once powerful industrial powerhouses.
Łódź jest typowym miastem poprzemysłowym. Powstała na przełomie XIX i XX wieku z marzeń ówczesnych fabrykantów. Koniec XX wieku to upadek przemysłu i olbrzymie problemy społeczne i gospodarcze miasta. Dlatego podjęliśmy decyzję o rewitalizacji.
Rewitalizacja to jest proces przywracania życia miasta historycznego, które zaczęło źle funkcjonować. W samym tym określeniu, że jest to przywracanie życia, zawiera się cały sens tej operacji. Remontowanie budynków, tworzenie nowych przestrzeni publicznych, nowych placów, nowych ulic, nowych parków służy temu, żeby mieszkańcom miasta żyło się lepiej, bardziej nowocześnie i bardziej współcześnie. Trzeba ten proces przeprowadzać przy udziale mieszkańców. Oni muszą być bardzo ważnym składnikiem tworzenia się, można powiedzieć, miasta na nowo.
Te działania, które realizujemy, przede wszystkim służyć mają ludziom, którzy w miastach mieszkają, którzy chcą w miastach rozwijać swoje zainteresowania, budować kariery, tworzyć rodziny. Obiekty pofabryczne, które lata swojej świetności mają już za sobą, obecnie dzięki właśnie działaniom rewitalizacyjnym przeżywają swoją drugą młodość. Są wykorzystywane na zupełnie inne funkcje. To rozwijają się tutaj nowoczesne przemysły kreatywne i tego typu obiekty obecnie dzięki właśnie działaniom rewitalizacyjnym pracują na rzecz mieszkańców. Rewitalizacja prowadzona właściwie to rewitalizacja prowadzona w partnerstwie, w szerokiej współpracy zarówno z mieszkańcami, jak i ze wszystkimi podmiotami, które w mieście funkcjonują.
The area of Łódź has increased 5 times over the last 100 years. The number of the city's inhabitants has increased by over 200% since the start of the 20th century. In 1990, the city underwent a crisis caused by the collapse of the eastern markets, the increased competition from imported goods, the end of the centrally planned economy model, and the changing conditions in the market. The industry of Łódź has steadily declined from that point, leaving behind thousands of dilapidated buildings, including tenements, palaces, villas and factories. Łódź was one of the first Polish cities to implement a local revitalization program. The spatial revitalization of Łódź focuses on space, people and the economy. The budget of the pilot program, which resulted in the development of the urban revitalization model, amounted to €1 million. The funds were used to hold consultations regarding 12 areas to be revitalized, as well as obtain expert opinions on and carry out the inventory of 35 tenements. An educational program was conducted and €40,000 were used to support micro-activities. A consultancy centre was founded. 281 micro-festivals were held and a free newsletter was published. The City of Tenements project involved the renovation of 170 historic buildings. The total budget of the project amounted to €50 million. The renovated tenements were partly converted to low-rent student accommodations. The 2014 to 2020 revitalization project spans 20 areas of the city, in which almost 1,500 city-owned and 2,500 privately owned buildings that house over 50,000 people are located. An EU grant of €1 billion will be used to fund a part of the revitalization, including investment projects that will be conducted on 40 streets, squares and parks, resulting in the construction of new inner-block streets, civic centres, modern micro-orphanages, community centres, culture institutions and a reintegration centre. Łódź's revitalisation is one of the biggest such projects in Europe. Łódź's family houses were used as factory worker accommodations in the past. They contain over 1,000 flats that were not up to today's standard of living. The revitalisation improves the quality of the flats. Before any action was taken, group consultations with the residents of Łódź and individual interviews with tenants were carried out. The City of Tenements programme involved the renovation of 170 buildings, the majority of which were located in the centre of Łódź. The total budget of the project amounted to €50 million. It was the first major renovation for many buildings that were built at the end of the 19th century or the start of the 20th century. Most of the tenements are being completely renovated. Developing courtyards into green areas, meant to increase the comfort of urban living, is an important part of the project. The premises of the defunct Israel Poznański factory were revitalized to become the biggest shopping, entertainment and culture center in Poland. The industrial buildings were brought back to their former glory and now house shops, restaurants, offices, museums and a cinema. The revitalization reclaimed the space for the citizens of Łódź and created almost 3,000 jobs. Former factory buildings can also be used to boost tourism. Two of Łódź's several dozen hotels serve as spectacular examples of revitalization. Hotel Tobacco used to be a handkerchief factory and later a cigarette factory. Its raw industrial interiors, sprinkled with tasteful details, are a reminder of its past and increase the hotel's appeal. The revitalized building received the European Property Award in the Best Hotel Interior Europe category. The four-star Andels Hotel is located in the same post-industrial complex as Manufaktura. The revitalization of the building was intended to make full use of the potential of the building's historic elements. A 19th century fire protection reservoir was converted into a glass-enclosed swimming pool, and each of the 277 hotel rooms has some historic elements kept as a reminder of the industrial past of the building. The hotel is also in possession of an important collection of 130 works of Polish contemporary artists. Using the post-industrial heritage of Łódź to develop cultural initiatives is an important part of the city's revitalization process. MS2 is one of Poland's leading modern art museums that is famous for its spectacular exhibitions. MS2 also boasts one of the most extensive collections of 20th century art in Poland. It is displayed in repurposed factory buildings that now house the museum. Karol Scheibler's company was one of the biggest textile plants in the Kingdom of Poland. The total area of the factory amounted to 500 hectares, which was equal to 14% of the total area of Łódź in the 19th century. In 2014, a part of the Scheibler factory was transformed into Art Incubator. 3 buildings measuring a total of 7,000 square meters house studios, exhibition spaces, a concert theatre hall, galleries, offices and conference facilities. Thus, the old industrial space was transformed into a factory of art and creative enterprises. New Centre of Łódź is an unprecedented project in scale and scope. A 100-hectare block located in the city centre will be reclaimed for the residents and blended into the context of the historic downtown. New City Centre of Łódź combines all of the most important elements of revitalization. It is meant to serve the citizens, but also draw in big business to the city and develop its culture. The new Łódź Fabryczna railway station, scheduled to be opened in 2016, will have a daily capacity of 200,000 passengers. This is 20 times more than the capacity of the old railway station. The station will be located 16 meters below the ground level. The modern railway station will become part of a multimodal transport hub that will connect suburban and long-distance rail, long-distance bus lines, the city's public transport and private car transport. EC1 was the first heat and power plant designed to supply electricity to the entire city. It went online in 1907 and remained operational for nearly 100 years. In 2008, the process of repurposing the old power plant into a multidisciplinary culture and science centre was initiated. The 28,630 square metre building will house Centre of Science and Technology, a 3D spherical cinema, a planetarium, several workshops, a gallery, a sound theatre, as well as conference and seminar halls. The cost of the investment is 65 million euros. Another element of the new Centre of Łódź will be construction lots for commercial development. The first investment to be initiated as part of the project is the construction of the City Gate, an office building providing workspace for 3,500 employees, which is to become a symbol of the new Łódź. Łódź is one of the many areas in Poland that are undergoing revitalization. The process has been going on for over a decade. In 2004 to 2006, local revitalization programs were carried out to a total value of €96.5 million that was spent to implement 178 revitalization projects in 113 cities and 9 rural communes. The next stage of revitalization is planned to be completed by 2020. Public and EU funds will be used to develop information and communication technologies, low-emission economy, environment and culture, transport infrastructure, labour market and entrepreneurship, social inclusion, including access to public services and education.
Przedstawiliśmy Państwu historię i wizję rozwoju naszego miasta. Pytanie, co dalej? Czas na ich realizację. Już teraz jesteśmy liderem rewitalizacji wśród miast w Polsce. Teraz chcemy pokazać się światu. Zapraszamy do Łodzi.